Right, welcome back. We continue with more news. Africa's largest bank by assets, Standard Bank, benefited from a strong showing in the rest of Africa, which helped to grow its profits by over a quarter and its full-year dividend by almost a fifth, whilst a surge in impairments weighed on its business in South Africa. The lender is more optimistic about the country's economic prospects as it looks to increase its market penetration in the rest of Africa. The group finds Egypt attractive, given its ties to East Africa. SABC markets reporter Nastassia Arendse, in fact, spoke to CEO Sim Tshabalala. Take a listen.
Banking is a derived industry and we follow clients. So a number of our clients are operating out of Egypt. Some of the motor manufacturers have gone there. For a second, the Egyptians are starting to move down the east coast, sort of using their excess capacity in construction, for example. They've got big construction companies and they're starting to move into East Africa. Egyptian banks are also starting to move into East Africa. And there's a triangle between the Gulf states, Egypt, and East Africa. We think we're in a position to facilitate the economic activity there, and therefore it makes sense for us to be in Egypt. Again, if you just look west, Morocco, the Moroccans are moving down the west coast, and some of the Nigerian banks are also moving into Morocco because of the economic activity there. That looks attractive as well. So over time, as more and more of this activity happens, we will slowly dip our toe into the water, open a rep office, hire a few people, do more and more activity, and over time build decent representation over time.
The one line item in your results presentation says there's a heightened focus on costs. And
yeah.
I wanted to ask, given the fact that obviously you want to stay competitive and you want to invest in the business, where are you looking to deploy capital?
Again, you laugh when you hear me say this. We will deploy capital to the fastest growing parts of the business. And we've done that for the last 10 to 15 years. And clearly that is the businesses outside South Africa. And then we'll be selective. Clearly East Africa, as you've heard us say, is starting to operate on an integrated basis. There's more activity happening there. They're growing really, really fast relative to other regions. Clearly they're going to get more capital than other parts, for example.
Okay, so we already looked at your expectations for GDP growth. How does that tie into what we can expect for the next 6 months? What are you and the team focusing on?
So costs, very, very disciplined on managing costs. Obviously not being silly. Variable costs, clearly let it happen if it's supporting client activity, but we're going to be tighter on costs because we're seeing the headwinds that I was referring to. Secondly, we're very focused on bad debts, staying close to our customers, understanding what they need. If people need debt review, helping them to get into debt review. If they need to extend their loans to make them more affordable, doing that. In the case of homes, putting them on easy sell when they need that, and so forth. So staying close to the risk management and making sure that we stay close to our customers. Thirdly, getting ready for possible decline in interest rates and positioning our bank appropriately. And importantly, understanding what the dynamics are in the elections. We're in 6 of the countries where we operate are going to be having elections. And we need to understand what that will mean for fiscal policies, for example. During elections, usually countries spend a lot of money. What implications has that got? Here in South Africa, are there going to be policy changes? And before you ask me the question, we don't believe that there will be. We think the country is on a policy trajectory which is rational regardless of what political parties are in power. And we have got a very lively democracy and we'll be watching it with great interest in the field of political competition. It's a proud democracy and we ought to be excited by what it holds for us.